So that rascal Billy Corgan's done it to me again. He went behind my back and released another one of them damned rootin' tootin' smashing pumpkins albums. Just because Billy Corgan isn't young as Taylor Swift doesn't mean he can't have eras in his career. Hell, he invented the eras lore by having a Billy for every season. Well, the autumn era is out. No condescending self-aggrandizing podcasts. No highbrow space operas that span 3 whole albums. Not even a lead single. Stick around as we review the new Smashing Pumpkins album, Aghori Mhori Mei. I thought you said no more highbrow space opera shit. Look, man, I don't know. I just know all those 1970s synthesizers were left back at the storage unit for this record. This is Dancing with Ghosts. So the album just dropped today. I've given the record a few in-depth listens from front to back. These are some overall notes before I get into the actual record proper, which is a blessed 10 tracks as opposed to the 33 total tracks found on the Autumn series. First note, I just don't feel like Billy Corgan's voice is pleasant to listen to anymore. You know, the tissue's thin as you age, the youthful kind of power is kind of reduced to like whatever is left after that. I mean, if you listen to any great singer in their prime and then you listen to them 40 years into their career, very few of them can keep their voices preserved in a way that someone would want to listen to. I've done a whole video about it. Billy Corgan had a very interesting timbre to begin with, but I believe the youthful thickness of that vocal tissue that was once there kind of helped propel it to be more pleasant, and he could do more with it back then, more screams and more grittier vocals, and now he just does this high-low thing where he'll be like, got it down, better go, bo. Every fucking song is like that. He does this high thing, this high atonal melody, and then he'll go to some low atonal melody, and it's just like, anyway, I'll get to that. The mix on this album is okay. I think they kind of fixed his vocal problem. He's not like 10 decibels above the mix. Now he's only maybe like 1 decibel above the mix, if not sitting in right in the mix, more balanced for most of the album. I feel like with Autumn and especially Seer, that was a major problem. His vocal, even to a certain degree, Zeitgeist. At least Zeitgeist had good songs and melodies, but yeah, the mix on those albums, his vocals, for some reason, for a voice that that has so many frailties, you would think that they would be smart enough to, let's bury him in the mix like we did in the 90s, but I guess with no engineer or producer or basically anybody kind of guiding him and giving him advice, because he sold 1 billion records, why does he need your advice anymore? He's like, you know what, it's about time my voice is what is the main thing that's heard. But they kind of fixed it on this one. His voice isn't nearly as high in the mix as it was, which that's an improvement, I can say. And kind of going back to what I was saying about his voice not being pleasant to listen to, the man cannot write a memorable vocal melody now to save his life or his career or his relevance. Again, with the high-low thing, how hard is it to write a good melody or vocal hook, for fuck's sakes? You did it for over 10 years at one point. So another one of the main themes is the lyrics. Just he continues this theme of being just overly obscure and verbose in his lyric writing. This is just one example from the first song off of this new album. Lift mine eyes. We're speaking in like Old Testament English here. Lift mine eyes in his stead. Trade on kings to play death. And sate such grief, coax faint breath. Eden fouls in our wake. Her flames engulf in one take. Transmuting graves via radio wave. Heave ho! Heave ho! Indeed I dream, indeed I think I dream, indeed I die, indeed I dream, indeed I think, indeed I dream, indeed I think I die. Disarm you with a smile, cut you like you want me to, cut that little child inside of me and such a part of you. We've come a long way from direct lyrics that fans can relate to and understand, for that matter, and Billy couldn't give a rat's ass. He's read a lot of books, and that big bald brain of his wants to show off his grasp of history and the English language, so expect more of that from this album, lyrically at least. Now, let's get into the songs. We start off with track 1, Eden. I'm already annoyed because, if you're talking about the Eden of the Old Testament, I believe it's spelled E-D-E-N. Of course, Billy spells it E-D-I-N. Maybe it's a character. Maybe this whole thing's a concept record. I don't know. He hasn't really said much about it. It just is. It just exists here. So, a lot of people were talking about this album. One person I knew changed their VPN to New Zealand time so they were able to access the album even earlier. And a lot of people are saying it sounds like Smashing Pumpkins meets Tool. Now, I would say this first song would really be the only one where one could make that assessment, and maybe another song later on the album. But, I do definitely see it on the first song. And yes, when it kicks in, very strong start. I was bobbing my head. I was smiling. I was stoked. I was really happy that, oh man, this is great. But I kind of knew, how Billy writes his melodies now. I kind of knew he was going to come in and ruin it with some shit melody, and he did. Musically, this album is really good. I couldn't even say that about Autumn. A lot of the music on that album just is weak, and, he just embraced and there's not that I don't like synthesizers, because I fucking love them when they're used right. Rammstein's use of them, Genesis's use of them, Rush's use of them, Nine Inch Nails' use of them is fantastic, but it's like Billy was taking the most lamest patches off these vintage synthesizers, and that's what he was putting on Autumn. So, yeah, he didn't do much of that here, for the most part, and he has shown that he does not, in fact, hate rock music or guitars, because this album is laden with rock guitars, and some pretty killer riffs, I might add. We get to track 2, Pentagram. Ooh, it's got a very cool, clavichord opening. I'm guessing that's what that instrument is, which is like a keyboard, harpy sounding thing. It almost sounds like I'm listening to a Ghost song, but then slowly that fades out and some guitar comes in. But the song loses my interest about halfway through when there fails to be some kind of a through line that pulls my ear across the song, whether it be a consistent vocal melody that grabs my attention, or a defined guitar riff that kind of keeps you interested. This song starts to meander and I start to lose interest. Track 3, again with the douchey title naming here. I think it's pronounced Salami. Looks like Salami, but whatever. The rock is back in almost an even flow Pearl Jam style guitar riff. This is the only song that I could decipher that has some female backing vocalists, which I believe there's more used later on in the album, but he used those quite extensively on the album Seer, to where it felt like they were basically a fifth member of the band. They were very extensively used on Seer, and then they were just kind of written out of the script, barely being heard from again as Billy continues to fly by the seat of his pants. Then track 4, Pentecost. So this is the first song on this record, or maybe in his past 5 records, where the lyrics come a little more in focus and the lyrics feel a little less like they were written in the 17th century. For example, I've been feeling lower than low with you. The highs are high, but nothing that hurt can't do. What breaking a heart must prove, so you must need the pain if your heart needs the pain. What would a heart yet do if not lose, if only one? Surrender at night, if only one. I've been saying goodbye forever, if you can recall when you'd fix and hold my gaze, and our lies were hard yet clever. And this life was sweet and not pain. I wonder if this is about his wife, these lyrics. The song itself is kind of a slow burn with a nice string arrangement at the end, but never touches the majesty of the string arrangement in a song like Tonight Tonight. Now, I know it's kind of douchey to constantly compare an artist to a time when, I don't know, maybe they had more, like, what they had to say was more digestible by a more mainstream crowd. But what I'm actually doing is comparing the music that was the soundtrack of my life and that deeply impacted me to the music that Billy Corgan is making now, which is not touching my life or impacting me all that much. On track 5, we get the song War Dreams of Itself. Okay, so the song fucking rocks musically, but Billy Corgan nearly instantly ruins it with his poor vocal melody choices and esoteric-ass lyrics.
Oh, Babylon, spill the secrets, and then you...
Track 6 is a song called Who Goes There, and I guess I've been a Valley girl far too long because, like, my first thought was, who goes there? He just went there. But I guess he means it as a more of who goes there? Like I'm a giant guarding the door to a fortress. This song sounds like it could have very well been one of the autumn songs with not only its weird title, but there are also a generous amount of retro synths and softer, more spacey guitars. And then we have the track 999. Apart from the opening song Eden, I would have to say this is my second favorite song off this album. The intro has this big, sexy wall of guitars, and I'm almost fantasizing what it would sound like if a better singer sang over this song, like Chino from Deftones, or Maynard from Tool, or Billy Corgan from 20 years ago. There are points in this song where you feel like it has the potential to become epic, but Billy just can't get it there with the voice he has now. But man, musically, is it an exciting tech demo of what the Pumpkins could be in 2024 if Billy could just get that voice of his under control melodically and tonally. On track 6, Goeth the Fall. This song has some nice garage indie guitar tones, but the tight studio drums and slick, expensive sounding vocal recordings destroy any vibe that this song could have had in that regard. Why can't this band just record at the same time in the same room like they used to? Why not just try that? Why do the drums have to sound so perfect and prove Rick Beato right? If you're going to give me garage guitars, give me garage everything else, or just use amp emulation if you're going to piecemeal everything together in Pro Tools, which is very much what this record sounds like, much like the rest of his records. Track 9, Sicarus. I guess Icarus, but sick, yo. This would probably be the second most Tool sounding song in the verses at least, but really I only see the Tool comparison in the opening track, quite frankly. This is one of the only songs where the melody differs from Billy's high-low vocal thing that he's doing now. He's seemingly following a more harmonic minor melody set in this song, which is a little more interesting, but a little too little, a little too late. It still kicks anything off Autumn squarely in the ass, which, you know, that can be said about pretty much any of the songs on this new record. We end with track 10, another stupid name that I don't know how to pronounce, Murnau. There's some filtered piano that starts off the song with a Billy Corgan vocal almost immediately coming in, singing about who the fuck knows at this point. There is this orchestral epicness that breaks in, with my mind as a songwriter already thinking of like 2 or 3 interesting choices that he could have made instead, but the song kind of just peters back down into this soft little orchestral piece. The song really kind of is all over the place, and I don't really feel like following it, as I've lost all faith in Billy's ability to really deliver something immediate and compelling or beautiful and salient. So yeah, that's my review of the record. I mean, I love the more rock aspects of it. I mean, there's some great guitar riffs on there. There's some nice drumming from Jimmy, although I don't like that tight studio room sound that he's got, where it just sounds like there's like padding all over the wall. I kind of liked that more hairier room sound that they had back in the day. I feel like if you're doing a rock record, the drums shouldn't sound so tightly, recorded that they almost sound like drum machines, which on Sear, that was kind of my concern, was like, is this a drum machine or is this even Jimmy playing the drums? Yeah, that's kind of all I can really say about it, is like, yeah, he's still got the juice to make like a new sounding Smashing Pumpkins heavy song, but I just feel like vocally he's lost the ability to, for some reason, to just really give us like a good, straightforward melody. And it has nothing to do with like he's lost range or anything like that. I feel like his range is probably sounding like it's sitting in the same ballpark as it did when he was younger. It just, that voice has changed, and he's just not writing melodies that are very appealing anymore. And it's just ever since like Zeitgeist, like it's just been like that. But Beguiled was like kind of the closest I feel like I got to something that I could even remember and repeat back to you. But even that one was a little bit on the weaker side. The music really drove that song. But anyway, let me know what you thought of the Pumpkins' new album in the comments below. Oh, also, what is up with the album cover? Are they trying to do like a shitty AI Dark Side of the Moon thing? Is there something about this cover that like is very deep that only Billy gets that we don't? I don't know. I mean, it goes without saying that most of what Billy does nowadays, only he understands. Anyway, again, have a good rest of your night.